All right, Matt and Michelle back on Sports Center. Breaking news now, Devin Booker finalizing it. The Bulls, apparently, that's not Devin Booker's team. The Bulls, yes, getting their star back, and he's getting paid. Zach LaVine in Chicago agreeing to a 5-year, $215.2 million max contract. LaVine's agency, Clutch Sports, announced the deal just moments ago.
I was going to fall off the set if you said Devin Booker changed his mind, but he did.
Yeah, no, I know.
Let's get you caught up on a couple of things here. Devin Booker is finalizing that 4-year, $224 million extension with Phoenix. Already held the most lucrative deal in Suns history. He now surpasses that mark, the key to the Suns' success past couple of seasons. Memphis's Ja Morant cashing in 5-year, $193 million rookie extension. He became the third Grizzlies player to make All-NBA along with Marc Gasol and Zach Randolph. Reigning two-time MVP Nikola Jokic, 5-year, $270 million extension with the Nuggets, the richest in NBA history. Jokic became the 13th player to win back-to-back MVPs. Karl Anthony Towns and the Timberwolves agreed to a 4-year, $224 million extension. KAT led Minnesota to the playoffs for the first time since 2018. All-Star guard Bradley Beal joined the Max Club. He landed a 5-year deal with $251 million to stay with the Wizards. Played a career-low 40 games last season. Other notables, cash flow. Jalen Brunson signed a 4-year, $104 million deal with the Knicks. He's the first player in NBA history to sign a $100 million deal with a new team despite having never been selected to an All-Star game. Gary Payton II, he's signing with the Blazers. PJ Tucker headed to Philly on a 3-year deal. And Bobby Portis is staying with the Bucks 4 years, $49 million. Still more in the NBA. What a day it was as Kyrie opts in and KD opts out. What are the Nets' options now, and how many teams might it take to facilitate this trade?
IKEA.
Welcome to the NBA Today free agency special, and we had all the best laid plans in the world. We had a beautiful show laid out for you that was supposed to come on in about an hour, and then the NBA happened because Kevin Durant, according to our Adrian Wojnarowski, has requested a trade from the Brooklyn Nets. I can tell you, Zach, that my dentist texted me saying, where is he going to go? The entire NBA world is focused in on this. What was your first reaction?
Joel Embiid was reduced to just LOL. Even he couldn't. My first reaction is, look, there had been rumblings about this before Kyrie opted in, and I said when Kyrie opted in, why is anyone assuming that this is over? Given everything that's happened with this team and Kyrie and KD, why would we assume the drama is over? And so here we are. My first reaction is, this is a 34-year-old who 6 months ago was the MVP favorite, considered maybe the best player in the NBA, 4 years left on his contract. The Nets are going to get maybe the greatest trade return in the history of the NBA. And I think they're going to aim even higher maybe than people think. People are going to talk about picks and swaps. I think they're going to aim even higher than that.
As they should. Our Adrian Wojnarowski will be joining us to break down this news in just a couple of moments, so please stay tuned for that. But, Zach, it was not that long ago that we were looking at the Nets and saying, okay, they seem a little bit top-heavy with Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, Seth Curry under contract, but really lacking in other spaces. So when you are looking at this, and we will have our Bobby Marks here to break down some of these trade scenarios shortly, what are you looking at as potential landing spots for Kevin Durant if they go ahead with this?
Well, Woj has mentioned that Phoenix and Miami are on his list of preferred destinations. Those two teams don't have like the killer player that I would be looking for. If I were Brooklyn, you could argue DeAndre Ayton, but the sign and trade gets very complicated. We have 4 hours to talk about sign and trades and how complicated they are. If I'm the Nets, what I'm doing is, this is Kevin freaking Durant. I am going through the list of the best under 22 players in the NBA and saying, start there. That's the list. So we can talk about teams later, but name a guy like that. That's the starting point for your package. Give me picks, swaps, other players with that. But that's where I'm aiming. Names that you think would be untouchable are now touchable when you are trading Kevin Durant.
Absolutely. When we are looking at this, and once again, we're coming on the air early because Kevin Durant has requested a trade from the Brooklyn Nets. Obviously, this is something where the Nets, they don't have to honor any of this. Kevin Durant is, let's remind people, when last season, let's go back, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant.
Remember that whole thing?
Oh my gosh, that feels like forever
Scary
ago.
hours, baby.
forgot about scary hours. These are also scary hours for an entirely different reason. When we went back to that, Kevin Durant was the only one of the three that ended up signing that contract extension with Brooklyn. Can you just remind our viewers where that stands?
He's still the only one that has signed a contract extension with Brooklyn. Remember, Sean Marks said after KD signed, they went into training camp and he said, I expect to have Kyrie and James Harden, quote, signed, sealed, and delivered by the start of the season. Well, James Harden delivered himself to the Sixers, and Kyrie Irving just opted in after a whole big lot of melodrama. But Kevin Durant has 4 years left on his contract. Ironclad, no options. No, that this never happens that a player of this caliber asks for a trade with that many years left. And on the surface, Malika, what that means is Brooklyn would appear to have some leverage. We don't have to trade you to Miami or Phoenix if we don't like what they're giving us. We have time. We have that kind of leverage. But here's the reality. This is Kevin Durant.
Yep.
Teams do not go to war with players of Kevin Durant's stature. Teams work with them, and Woj has reported the Nets are working with Kevin Durant's people to find the best compromise solution. And I think, honestly, his trade value is so immense that they're not going to have to go to war with Kevin Durant about destinations, that they're going to have plenty of offers that are so big and so rich that they're going to have their pick and they're going to work with Kevin. They're not going to send Kevin to a place he absolutely refuses to go because that team's not going to want to trade for an unhappy Kevin Durant. So as much leverage as they would appear to have, and they have some, this is better than him being on an expiring contract. Kevin Durant's going to be part of this process.
Well, and that's what our Bobby Marks was speaking about last week on NBA Today. Just how unprecedented this is to have a player of his caliber with that many years left on his contract. It literally doesn't happen. And so Miami is something that our Adrian Wojnarowski has reported that could be a place that you potentially circle down in South Beach. Phoenix, another place that our Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting that you could potentially circle. With Kevin Durant going back to the West, Zach.
With Phoenix, yeah, I mean, you could circle the whole league. I mean, with the exception of 3 or 4 teams.
Potentially exceptions would be what? Golden State, Oklahoma City, you would think. Well, Golden
State has, ironically, the absolutely ideal package to get Kevin Durant. All the young players that didn't play much in the playoffs, plus Andrew Wiggins, plus a bundle. If they have everything, I don't see that one potentially in the cards. Let's take Miami, for example.
Yep.
Miami just drafted Nikola Jovic, who's a highly, touted player in the first round.
I had to listen to you say that slowly.
Nikola Jovic. My wife will be very mad at me if I don't get Nikola right. They can trade 3 future first-round picks if they amend the terms of a pick they already owe the Thunder. They can trade swaps in between those years. So you're talking about 3 picks, 3 swaps, Nikola Jovic, and then you're like, okay, what players do we want? Tyler Hero has to be in the deal. Duncan Robinson has to be in the deal. And if you're the Nets, you say, well, I like Tyler Hero, but Tyler Hero is not, Scotty Barnes or Evan Mobley or Zion Williamson. What else are we getting here? And as Bobby noted on Twitter, they can't get Bam Adebayo if Ben Simmons is also on their team because of a very weird rule that you can't have 2 players on 5-year rookie max extensions that you acquired from other teams. Obviously, they acquired Ben Simmons from Philly. They would be acquiring Bam in this fake deal that I just made up from Miami. So that's a situation where you might love that Miami offer. If the Nets don't, I don't, do they do it anyway because that's what Kevin Durant wants? Do they try and get a third team in to give them something else? By the way, they just traded a first-round pick for Royce O'Neal, which is not a move that you do necessarily if you're tearing it all down. So lots of chaos.
We have been speeding through all of this, just the possibilities of what could happen now that Kevin Durant has requested a trade. I do just want to circle back to the Nets do not have to do